Hello everyone, my name is Jesús de los Bueis and I'm the Software Development Director for Carrefour Spain for the e-commerce department. And today I will talk to you about our experience replacing our commercial search by our own search. A search we can control the roadmap, and we can control the technology behind the search. So, well, here is my contact and my colleague's contact, Borja, that he's going to talk later. And well, if you need some information about us, you can scan our codes and see our profiles. Well, just before getting into search, I would like to talk about a little bit about Carrefour Spain. Carrefour Spain is a company that belongs to Carrefour Group. Carrefour Group is one of the biggest retailers in the world. It has more than 12,000 stores in 30 countries. And specifically talking about Carrefour e-commerce, we have an e-commerce with two sites, food site and non-food site. The first one has 27,000 food products and 7 million of customers in our loyalty club. We have a marketplace in the food side with 3 million of products from 1.5 thousand sellers. So the platform that makes possible this business is our e-commerce platform. But we are in the middle of a migration where we are migrating for this kind of all-in-one solution that you can hire from traditional vendors to a microservices architecture built by our engineers, by Carrefour staff. So this project is a 4-year project to replace the whole platform. What we are going to do is, or what we are doing right now, is taking different pieces of the e-commerce platform, the old one, like the search, the product catalog, the pricing engine, for example, the checkout flow, and deploy this functionality into a web microservices architecture in the cloud. It's 100% cloud native, so that means that it's built over Kubernetes, with Kubernetes in mind, and scalability, elastic scalability. It's deployed in Google Cloud, and all is based on open source technologies, because it's our philosophy. And the first site was launched in 2019, and so far it's working fine. Well, we don't have any major issue till now. So, talking about search now, this time, is the part of this architecture that we replaced last year. And it was a really tough challenge because we had to replace a commercial search, which was included in this kind of all-in-one platforms. And to do that, we had to face some challenges. The first one was understand the customer behaviors. So in the old one, the metrics that we had was very poor. We didn't know what was happening from the side of the customer, because we don't know what they were looking for, if the search was very accurate or not. So we have no idea about what is happening in terms of the search. So the second one is to build a proper search experience with a very accurate user experience. And well, we have to define our relevant ranking too, our relevant ranking policies. And we had to avoid to configure manually a lot of rules that they are very difficult to maintain over the time. We were looking for something more automatic, like AI or machine learning. And we have to generate a catalog data feed, because in this kind of platform where all it's included, you don't have to worry about the catalog data feed. It's part of the solution. So we had to build a proper data feed with enough data and very well prepared to be indexed by a search engine. And we have to integrate the e-commerce, the search engine, into our e-commerce platform. We have to deploy it into Google Cloud, which is our cloud, and complete the whole project in 7 months, which is quite aggressive. But finally, thanks to the teams involved in this project, we did it. So at this point, we already know what to do. But the next question is how we can do it. So to do that, we went to the market and see what options did we have. And the options we had was mainly 3. The first one, it was about to build a proper search engine from scratch using our team. But the problem is we realized that we haven't got this kind of knowledge, this kind of expertise, because we have very good developers, very good architects, integration engineers, but we don't have search engineers and we don't have data engineers. So at least it's gonna take a long time to build a proper search engine. Maybe we can have something, an MVP, maybe in 2 years. So it wasn't affordable for the business. So the second option, the option B, was to hire a software as a service solution. This is the most attractive option, because the only thing that you have to do is to generate a catalog data feed, plug it into or integrate it into the software as a service solution, and then start consuming APIs. But from our point of view, this can work for small catalog, but having a marketplace with 3 million of products and very different kind of problems, we prefer to control all the algorithms inside the search engine and integrate the search engine in a seamless way with the data we have in Carrefour. So to extend the search engine, this option, it wasn't the best for us. And we had to do all the user experience as well. And the option C, it was to look for a partner with existing solution that you can take and deploy into your cloud and build your search experience over an existing solution. So this is what we did actually. But with the technology is not enough. We needed a company with a culture that fits into our culture. So we are a very customer-centric company. So we were looking for a company like this with customer-centric philosophy, open and transparent, collaborative, agile and adaptive, because what happens in retail industry is we are constantly changing, and focus in US, because what happens is it's not only about the technology, it's how you present the technology to your customer, how your customer is using your technology. And of course, the technology has to be based on a microservice architecture, because we have a microservices architecture. So we were looking for a solution where you can select the different components, install the components that you want into your application, and use those components. So it has to be also based on open source as the rest of the platform. Easy to deploy and operate, that's very important for us, because in the past we suffered a lot of pain trying to operate this kind of solution where you have the black box and you don't know what is happening inside the box. And it has to be a proved solution for high demand of traffic, because we had campaigns like Black Friday where we suffer a huge spikes of traffic, and we have to give service during those spikes. So when you have the pattern in place, you know what to do. Then you have to do a planning. And this is the project plan. The first stage of the project plan was to discover what to do, what was our assumptions, and validate our assumptions. And overall, to discover what this technology, this search technology, can do with our data and modify the part that maybe we don't like. And the second phase, the second stage, it was to build the proper solution integrating with our e-commerce platform. The third one was the hardening, to fix those things you forgot in the building phase or you did in a bad manner. And the last one is to tune all the application, all the search engine within the e-commerce platform in the Google Cloud. So you have to adjust the memory, the cores, the Kubernetes stuff, and of course the Elasticsearch, because Elasticsearch is the core of the search engine. So this is how it looks, all the plan. I mean, we start with a pilot, not a very fancy interface, but it demonstrates all the things that we wanted to do. From that, we passed to a beta. The beta was in production during 3 months around, and it was almost fully functional, and it was leaving service during 2-3 months. And the last one is the one that we have now in Carrefour.es, and well, it's fully functional. It's covered all the verticals that we have, food and food, the global one. And so far it's working fine, and people like to use our sets, at least as we know. So at this point, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Borja. Borja helped us with all the user experience about search. Well, he can tell us all the process that he lived with us. So Borja, whenever you're going.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you so much for the invitation, of course. And you know, I'm very personally linked to this project. It was an absolute joy to work with you guys, and especially after the marvelous results I obtained, right? Both from a design and a performance perspective. Right. Hello, folks. My name is Borja. I'm from Empathy. I was the design lead of this project, which we are still working on. But we're going to present today this very first stage of it. And I'm going to talk for the next 5 minutes on design, okay? Both on the challenges that we overcame and also the process we followed. So before I get into the matter, I would like to stress the need to tackle a search project from an experiences side of things as well. Okay, I've been working on for more than 15 years on search projects, on relevancy modeling, on algorithms, features, and again, it does not matter how much time you spend on technology. Okay, you must have, of course, relevant results for people to find, but the how people experience, how people connect with brands, the emotions that you're able to evoke through the experiences is as critical or even more than the results on their own. Okay, so always please spend enough time, enough is never enough, on the experiences, because it will be a very important aspect of your success. Right, so moving into the search project in Carrefour. So the first thing we looked at was we have a massive catalog. I mean, we're talking about 3 million products. And again, the diversity and complexity of intent, it's brutal. I mean, it is huge. We have people searching for tomatoes and apples as part of their food groceries. And as well, we have people searching for a mattress, or searching for a barbecue, or searching for a TV set. So again, you guys work in search, you know that the patterns used to access those very different set of items, it's very diverse. Okay, the way you help people find, explore, and research on those item discoveries is totally opposite. So that was a main challenge. The second one, it's aligned to this one. It's whether, from an experience perspective, how do we take people from a global search box, okay, where you can search in the whole of Carrefour, into very vertical, very specific search, vertical search experiences that are highly driven by the characteristics of, say, um, ink cartridges for printers, or a TV set, whether you want it curved or not, or the size of the screen. So these sort of things really were a big thing that we needed to coherently bring into the experiences and the journeys of people navigating, searching, and exploring through Carrefour. The third item, and as important as well, is the diversity, in this case, of personas and the data behind it. We have Carrefour is very fortunate to have a very loyal customer base. Uh, and they are very rich data sets to do with the purchase history on and off, as well as other signals that can be used to personalize search. On the other end, we have people that's not anonymous, but they have no track records regarding purchase, but we know that they are in a landing page, and we know that they have an intent declared. So how can we use all those inputs so that the experience is a good fit for all those personas? And lastly, this is more to do with a commercial thing as well as a customer experience, but in the on-site, offline, Carrefour has got a catalog, and online, it is a bigger catalog due to the marketplace. So people should be aware that products have been sorted in a different way. They should be aware that the logistics, the vendor information has to be surfaced, and all these things that also need to be very well entangled into the experience. Good. So how do we go across, knowing this, how do we go across into the design? So the phase one, it's always about understanding the context. Okay, so we need to understand how people use search previously. So we normally go through the analytics. We go, of course, through the, more importantly, through the intended behaviors. How do we want people to feel throughout this part of throughout the search journey? When they open the search box, before they start typing, when they start typing. So we'll go through the brand values, we go through the design principles, the visual language that has to be used, and we start working on the user journey mapping. Okay, so we are able to associate emotions to each of those moments of the journey. Right, so now we can move into phase two. Now we can start sketching this mobile sketches and diagrams, and we can move on into mockups, wireframes, mockups, animated mockups, prototypes, user testing, and as these iterations move on, you end up with a very complex diagram with the user flows that incorporate all these personas, all these use cases, all this personal data, and all this transparency and trust controls that we always seek to obtain, so that consumers really feel bonded and feel connected to the brand through using search. That was my time. My time is up, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you after Jesus finishes and during the Q&A session. All back to you, Jesus. Thank you.
Okay, Borja, thank you very much for your talk. It was very good to listen to you, how you did all this work with us. And well, to continue with this, I would like to talk about some pieces of architecture that for us are the most important ones, because it's how we integrate actually the empathy solution into our system. And we can start with the catalog feed generation, because it was very tough to do. It took me time. It was a project itself. And well, what we did is we took all the things that we already had in the e-commerce platform, like the prices, product inventory and promotions, microservices. We synchronize everything from the central systems, from the PIM, from the pricing engine, from the inventory. Upload all this information via a Kafka queue. And then what happens is, when you have all this information distributed in domains, it's very difficult to generate data feed. So the most easy way to do this, the easiest way to do this, is to take all this information, all the movement that happens within these microservices, and then store everything into a single file per document, per product. Sorry. So when you have the whole picture of the product in a single document, you can store this kind of documents in the database, aggregate every single movement, like prices, inventory, and so on, and then extract everything using a data prop cluster, a Spark job actually. It takes everything and transforms this information into a cloud storage. So into a cloud storage, we have several files with all the information that we need to index in the Elasticsearch and the empathy solution. So what it does, the empathy solution takes these files, do some magic around this, and store everything into the Elastic cluster. The other part of the architecture that it's very worthy to talk about is the enrichment data feed. What it does actually, enrichment data feed, is listen to customer. It takes all the events that comes from the front end, store these events into Parquet files thanks to Cloud Data Flow, and then we had a data pro cluster with several Spark jobs that takes all the insight from these files, and with this insight, we store this information into the Elastic cluster and in MongoDB for statistical purpose and for to make the search smarter. Because thanks to this, we have next queries, we have related tags, we have auto suggestions, we have all the fancy stuff around the search. And the last one, it's how we integrate the API into our existing e-commerce solution. So what we use is the backend for front-end pattern. So with these microservices, the search presentation API microservice, where it does is launch in parallel several requests to price, product inventory, promotion, and others, and to the search API, and compose a single response that we send to Empathy-X. And Empathy-X is the component from Empathy in charge of show the result list in the best way for the customer. So with all the user experience that we designed in the previous stage of the project. Talking about components, we want to talk about the components from the perspective of what really improved for us, what means for us, for Carrefour. So, for example, the indexing process, the operational team is very happy because the indexing process almost never failed. We have a success rate about 98%. The enrichment indexing, the other one, almost never failed too. And we have the tooling too. And with the tooling, the marketers are quite happy as well because compared with the other, the console is very easy to use. They don't have so many rules, manual rules to maintain. So because the search engine itself can react to the change of the interests of our customers. So the only thing is to see if the search is behaving in a proper way and adapt some things, adjust the weights of some attributes and boost and boost some products. And it helps as well with promotional stuff because now they can insert banners into the result list, and with this banner they can sell this space to other providers. So, well, it's something that the marketers do, and they do several other things. And the last one is to talk about the search components. And well, apart from all the user experience that offers to our customer, the accuracy of the search, what really it helped for the Carrefour engineers, because this is something that people don't used to talk, but well, for us it was a big improvement because the productivity of our developers increased a lot, because the only thing that they have to do is consume APIs and focus on the user experience or other integration or the task that they are working on, and forget those things of understand the black box about the search and the behavior, the unexpected behavior that the old search had. So at this point, I would like to share with you a small story about the crisis we lived with all the COVID-19 stuff, all the COVID-19 crisis. So it was a small story about masks and how the search can react to the demand of our customers. So the thing is, when people think in mask, before the COVID-19 crisis, people were thinking about beauty masks. But when all the crisis happened, all the questions come up, what people want when they look for masks, they are thinking in sanitary masks. They want sanitary masks. So we took some information from our search, from the search insights, and we see that before the COVID-19 crisis, people was querying for masks to find all beauty masks, all kinds of beauty masks. And for sanitary masks, it was a few persons looking for sanitary mask, but the rest of the people were looking for actually beauty masks. But during COVID-19 crisis, apart from increase a lot the queries with the word mask, what people were looking for was a sanitary mask. So compared with others during the COVID-19 crisis, it's a big difference. So what happens in terms of the search? So the search adapts automatically all the auto-suggestions and the next queries as well. So here you can see the word mascarilla, that means mask. And the suggestions is look for mascarilla sanitaria, which means sanitary mask. And apart from that, the search automatically suggests gloves and sanitary gel as well, because the people used to look for masks and then look for gloves and then look for sanitary gel. So the search can realize this thing and adapt all the suggestions based on this. And there's another thing. It's how automatically the result list promotes the masks, the sanitary masks, over the beauty masks. So in this example, you can see the difference between the sanitary mask and the beauty mask in terms of promotions, the results. So 1, 2, and 3 are boosted automatically. Actually, the most boosted result is the second one, but there are some business rules that promotes the first one. It's basically because it belongs to the food side and it has more priority. But if we look for beauty masks, we find out that no one of them are boosted because they are, at this time, they are not very important for people. So the results of all of this, what was the results? So in the green line is the point in the time where we launch our empathy search into the public. We had the beta version for a while, but for the public, for the rest of the customer, we launched this in the end of January. And from the very beginning, what we can see is a spike in the number of queries that customers does against the search engine, and we increased from almost 2 to almost 4, just from the very beginning. And that means we increased the number of search per session per user in a 48%. So, but at the same time, what is very important is the abandonment rate of customers that use the search decreased in a 49%. So people stay in our website more time, playing with the search, navigating, and so on, fortunately buying something. And well, of course, these two peaks that you can see during maybe the second week of March, that's because the coronavirus crisis, because we face a lot of traffic. And by the way, the search coped with the traffic with no major issues. Well, next step, just to finalize the talk. So we have several things to do in the future in terms of search. We have to still improving all the search in terms of performance, the accuracy, the variability, and the evolution itself of the search engine. The second one, the second most important thing that we have to do this year is the navigation, browsing, the catalog browsing. We are planning to use this solution for the product listing pages, for example, the generation of catalog data feed to be integrated with Google Shopping, and all of things related to catalog. We are planning to place the search in the middle of the e-commerce platform and use the search for almost everything related to the catalog. And the third one is to still working in contextualization. That means we want to get all this information we have in a retailer like us. We have a lot of information about our customers and improve the personalization. If we can do it one-to-one, that takes a lot of challenge like privacy that we need to solve. But it's a path that we want to walk. Well, that's all. Thanks for listening. I hope this was very interesting for you. And again, let's for listen. Thank you very much.